this moment, I recognize that unchangeable, that invisible essence, that one power, one presence, one divine intelligence, that one living spirit that I call God. And I know that God is love and peace and joy and harmony and justice, freedom, happiness, oneness, wholeness. And knowing that I'm made in the spiritual image and likeness of God, I know that I'm endowed with all of those qualities. And I know that it is those qualities that guides my consciousness and my intuition in all that I do. And I know that it is God that permeates my entire being. I know that I am the love and the light of God. I am one with God. And as I know that for myself, I know that for each and every one here. And so, I'm so grateful for this morning, for all of the activities that we have planned this morning. And I'm grateful for Reverend Katherine anticipating her talk, knowing that she is the love and the light of God, and that her message is channeled from God. And so I just know that I am so grateful for this day, and I simply let it be. And so it is.
Go ahead, you can give him some love. We love each other up so much. All right. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Rev Katherine Economou, and it's my joy to welcome you here this morning to the Center for Spiritual Living. I want to thank Don for his meditation this morning. That was beautiful, and for that prayer. And thank you for including me in the prayer. You kind of got me teary-eyed a little bit, because you'd be surprised at how amazing it is for the minister when somebody prays for you. Right? Like, it's really moving. It's kind of funny to me, but it's moving, and it's very, so thank you for that. And I want to welcome you all this morning to the Center for Spiritual Living once again. We are under a mask mandate, so when we are speaking on stage, we are taking our masks off, but other than that, we are all doing this. And I just wanted to talk about it for just 1 minute. And I know over time we've had this discussion, and I'm going to be honest, we don't like the masks. Nobody does. We're not happy about it. It's not fun, right? But we do this for each other. And I understand that. This is not about being controlled by the government. It's about what we can give to each other to ensure that we are all happy, whole, and healthy. We don't know what everybody is going through in this room. I know a lot, but I don't know even everything. I know that there are a handful of people who are in chemo treatment in this room. I bet you don't know that. I know there are a bunch of people who have autoimmune diseases in this room right now. I bet you don't know that, and you're not going to know who it is. So for me, I'm going to share how I look at this, because I don't like the mask as much as you don't. But when I walk around town and I go into the stores, we went shopping yesterday, and when I'm with congregants and when I'm in different groups and all of that, what I think about is what the person in front of me is going through that I don't know about, and I bless them for it. And I don't even really need to know what it is. Maybe it's some peace to your heart. Maybe it's some vitality for your body. Maybe it's health and wholeness. Maybe it's opportunity for financial prosperity. But all of those blessings are going through my mind whenever I'm in contact with anybody. And in this time, it's really important that we support one another, because we are each the hands and hearts of God. And so that's how we look at this. That's how we are looking at this mask mandate. And so I'm being very clear that this is masks only. We are not okay with just shields. We are not okay with, down below the nose, above the lip, all of that. We want to be safe. And we want you to be safe and healthy and whole. And that's one little gift that we can give to each other, right? It's one little thing we can do for each other. We are, I was talking to my husband the other night, and I hear myself, so I'm not going to go off too long. But I was talking to my husband the other night because I'm reading a lot of historical fiction from which one is it? The 18th century. And what I'm realizing, it's fiction, but it shows what life was like, right? We've got it really easy. If you don't know, we are living a very easy life. If anybody remembers their past lives and you've had it difficult, then you know what I'm talking about. Joke, that was a joke. But we do have it really easy. And so I was walking around this week thinking about, well, I can sacrifice a little bit for my friends. I don't have to hike out into the woods to go to the bathroom and dig a ditch to do it. I don't have to wear 7 layers of clothes and just change 3 of them to stay warm enough that I don't freeze, right? I have ice whenever I want it, right? Like, we have it so easy. What's one thing we can do for one another? So that's how I'm looking at this. I hope you join me with that. Thank you for being kind and respectful to our ambassador team, who are the ones who call us on it when we forget. And we are dedicated to making sure that everybody stays healthy and well. That's my best joy is that we have not, in our community, have not lost anybody to COVID. At Csl Tv, we haven't. We haven't. And I want to make sure. Am I not on? I don't think I'm on. But I want to make. Oh, maybe I am. But I want to make sure that that stays. Okay. So that's my sermon on the Mass for the day. Thank you for supporting that. And so with that, we are going to stand up. I think once I get. It's okay, Rachel. I'll just talk loud. Okay, and so we are going to all stand up and sing Hark the Herald Angels. Take a breath. Just knowing that this moment is perfect, right as it is. And so as we begin this Christmas week, as we approach the solstice, that day of balance of light and dark, no, the darkest night of the year, what am I saying? It's not the balance. That moment of moving to the deepest place within is what happens on the winter solstice. This is a week of, even here in Southern California, of cold, crisp, clear nights with stars sparkling. This is a great week to stoke that fire in the fireplace, gather with our beloveds, lighting candles and staying quiet and peaceful. And so let us just have a moment of gratitude for the opportunity to turn within, to connect with that inner space, that inner heart, that connection to the infinite divine presence of God. There is a peace in connecting to God. And so I'm going to invite you to take a couple of deep breaths and just surrender into that, feeling the love, that life, that God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has for you, because it does. At your core, deep below any idea you have of yourself, you know God loves you. And if you don't think you know it, pretend you do, because God does love you. And so as we surrender in this moment and allow that feeling to embrace us, let us just allow the gratitude for life to rise. Even in the midst of challenge, life is such a precious gift. This opportunity to breathe, to see, to know, to create is a gift. It's a gift of the journey of your soul. And so just resonating with that, allowing it to be alive within you. Just allow it to fill your entire being. Let it stretch out into the space. We don't want to touch each other, but we can touch each other with our gratitude and our love, right? We can be a bubble of love, and the people sitting next to you can feel it without you even physically touching them. We know that we work in consciousness and in presence. And so each of us is a bubble of that love and gratitude, and as it grows, we're filling this room completely, right? We're filling it up, we're filling it beyond this building, we're filling all of this valley with gratitude and love, and it's touching people who don't even know. All those people who are going to Costco on a Sunday morning, let's love them up, right? And let it stretch out into the world and be a creative force. One more nice deep breath. When you're ready, come on back. Thank you. All right, and so I'm going to turn it over to Don for our reading for the day.
Our reading for today is from 365 Days of Richer Living by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker. And the title is Having Received Light, I Pass It On to Others. The light of truth is within me, and I release it in every thought and feeling. This light of God has always been in me, yet only lately have I realized what it was. I now know that it is the divine using me as a center of perfect operation. I know it is the truth, which I have sought and now found. I know that it is in my highest self, and that I am it, right here in my present circumstances. God in me at this moment illuminates my whole consciousness, and I am free of all untruth. Alerted to the light, I give this light to others. Every word I speak is a light to everyone. Every thought I think is a treatment to all whom I know. I let my light shine to bless and benefit my neighbor, for it is God's light shining through me. Releasing the light, I am immersed in light, and true perception is mine. I see God everywhere. I see God in everyone I meet. I see God in the little and the great. Omnipresence is manifested to me. having received the light, I now pass it on to others, to you. And so it is.
We are so blessed to have Randy MC with us today, so let's give us a loud. Stations that you can get online. I have my music on pretty early. But there's something about Christmas music, right? There's something about the inspiration and the hope that's in the middle of it. And I think that that's what we all need right now, right? I think that that's something that feeds our souls and touches us in a deep way. And so thank you. That was a perfect song for today. So today, so I'm going to recap real quick. This year we have been working with the theme Timeless Wisdom and Evolutionary Vision, where we've been thinking about the core principles of the science of mind and all these spiritual principles that we have studied and learned, or maybe learned about this year for the first time, and how to put them into practice right now for the world today. Because as you all know, I say all the time, if this work is not real and relevant, if this stuff isn't like workable and usable and makes a difference, I don't have time for it, right? It's not worth it. It's a heady exercise, it would be fun to do, but if it's not something that's going to inspire you and support you to live a better life, to feel better in your life, then why are we doing this? So that's what we've been doing all year. We've been taking part of each week I take a piece of the Science of Mind philosophy and the Evolutionary vision, the global vision that the Centers for Spiritual Living has put out, and we talk about how we can live that more. So at this point in time, with all that has been happening in the world, and again, this is a really important exercise for us, for our well-being, for our peace of mind, and our ability to just be, right? Because stress is really high right now across the board, and it's permeating just about every aspect of our lives. Now, I've been working with the aphorism, a high tide raises all boats, this year. Now that was originally used towards a good economy, which is, we love that. When the good economy raises all boats, right? The high tide of a good economy, everybody floats a little bit higher is the idea. But it also works in the opposite with stress. And that's what I've noticed this year is that after last year was kind of like the roller coaster ride where we were holding on to get through. How are we going to get through this? What's going to happen? And then 2021 comes around, we were all so hopeful. Have you seen that meme where there's a cartoon where people are standing around the corner with a stick at the door, it says 2022, and they're like poking the door open first to see what's in it? Have you seen it? Yeah, so we're a little trepidatious about going into, I'll share it this afternoon, but we're a little trepidatious about going into 2022, but that's how 2021 was, right? Like we had no idea what we were walking into, and it has been a little more stressful because our resistance is wearing down. Our strength and courage is wearing down. Our faith has been wearing down this year, and I've seen it kind of go in a slide through the year. And so, we have to realize that in this moment, the stress that's permeating the world, this difficulty is rising all of our boats, and that we may be experiencing stress in a new way, even if your life has not changed, right? For some people, I do realize that your life hasn't really been impacted as much. Yes, you got to wear masks. Yes, you don't go out as much. Yes, we don't do the kinds of things we did before. But for some, their life is not changed. And yet, there is greater stress permeating the world. And so we are all being affected by that. And do we realize that? Can you realize that sometimes it's more, we get more reactive, we get more irritable, we get more cranky? I'll tell you, my husband knows that this is what's been happening because he can tell from me. And so my point is that we all benefit from focusing on the spiritual side of our experience when this is happening in the world. We benefit from looking with a spiritual eye at what's happening all around us. This is a pathway of finding hope in dark moments, to feeling that we're not lost or that all is not lost, even when it gets really tough. So we've been using this year, the idea of this year as a journey, and walking through this new reality of ours. And this year was a little bit different than last again. We're moving forward and a lot of norms have come back, right? And let's face it, we're still impacted in such a great way. And as we move into the holidays, it's like, everything, we have to be really clear and think about everything to make sure, is this appropriate? Am I being safe? Is this the right thing? Is this the right choice? How do I handle this? And so a lot of us are having a tough time with this. We just want it to be over, right? I want it to be over. We want it to be how it was before. We want to get back to that and just not have to think about any of this anymore. And unfortunately, I hate to be the one to stand up in front of you and say that, but that's never going to happen. We're never going to be able to put this completely away. There is something new that's trying to be born out of this. I had the thought as I was falling asleep last night. It was like, I was up late and I was just about to fall asleep, and I had the thought, remember way back when we first got there, there was another meme or GIF or whatever that said, God sent us to our rooms to think about what we had done, right? like that was the whole idea of quarantine, was that God sent us and said, you go home to your room and you think about what you've done, right? Well, I had that thought, like, there's something else we need to figure out about ourselves. if this is coming back around again, I had the idea that there's something else that, because we're being called back in within ourselves, right? And that's what's happening in this time in the year, right? The idea that in this winter solstice, it's like all of the energies of the earth are going within. All the trees, you know, have let go of their leaves and their dead excesses and are bringing their energy to their cores to survive the winter and the dark. All of the animals, not here in Southern California, but other places, are starting to hibernate, you know, and the earth is starting to move within to that inner place. And there's a whole philosophy that theosophy talks about how that's what we do too at the winter solstice. Is a time of going in, it's a time of being with ourselves. And just as this mask mandate happens again, just as this time of this next variant shows up, I feel like that's what's happening to us again. We're being called in. So what if we actually did the work without having to go home to our rooms? What if we actually all took the time to do the work, to ask ourselves, what is it that wants to be known about me now? Maybe what's that thing that I've been avoiding? What's that voice that's on the inner side of myself that I'm not listening to? What's my heart whispering to me that I can't even allow myself to listen to it because I'm too afraid that I'm not going to get it, or I'm too afraid that I'm not going to live up to what I think I'm supposed to do, or whatever the self-talk is. What I'm encouraging us to do is to be present with ourselves this week, especially in this time of the solstice. And I'm so grateful for our Gifts of Spirit group that did our solstice table for our cultural celebration today. That they did this beautiful, I can't wait for you guys to go in there and see all those tables. They're so beautiful. We've got such great food. I'm making latkes. It's going to be delicious. I'll talk quick so we can get there. But the idea is that what is it that we are avoiding? When we look with a spiritual eye at what's going on in our life, there is a message in every single piece of it. And I think there's a message in this too for us. I love these last few weeks of the year. I love the holidays. I love my Christmas lights. I was sharing with my friends this week that I have all of our Christmas lights. I finally got smart. I got smart plugs. So my Christmas lights go on at 8 in the morning and they go off at 11 at night. Like my Christmas tree, my mantles, and everything in my house. So I walk out in the morning and there's my Christmas lights, my twinkly lights, you know? And I don't have to worry about turning them on, turning them off. Like we've got easy life, right? Let's say, check one for easy life. So but I love this time of the year with the sparkly lights and the dark and the fire. I don't know how we went through a half a cord of wood in a week, you know, and I love the couple of weeks where we kind of lose track of time, right? We spend some time with friends, and then there's that week at the end of the year that you're like, wait a minute, what day is it? I'm still eating pie for breakfast. I don't know what day it is. What's going on? You know, we have so much to look forward to in these next couple of weeks. But the thing about it is that it's also an opportunity to get out of your regular schedule so that you can really be conscious and do some closure. You can look at the journey of your year. How was the journey of my year? What are those things that I learned this year that I realized about myself in a new way? What are those things that I realized that I really want to experience, or I want to do, or I want to have, or I want to share, or I want to learn that I haven't yet? And start to set some intentions for the next. And so we've been on such a great journey, and we are going to continue to be on a journey. And today, my talk is the gifts of the journey. Because even in the difficulties, even in the challenges, even in the fear and all of it, there are gifts here. And there are gifts here for you. And today I want us to wake up to that. To wake up to seeing with a new eye. That even in the difficulty and the pain and the bleh, bleh, and all that, bleh, there are gifts and there are blessings there for you. Because when we can see and acknowledge that, when we realize that even in the midst of it all there's goodness, there is light, because we are connected to something greater, because of God, then it multiplies and it expands, and that's what I want for you. That's what I want for all of us. To realize that when we align ourselves with the divine in a new way, when we put our attention on what's good, even what's working, what we have to be grateful for, even if it's a crumb, even if it's a small, tiny thing, it begins to multiply and expand. And listen, I know that you all know this. This is not anything new. But we have to be reminded, because it's easy to slide down the slope of complaining, of frustration. of irritability, and it turns into anger. And it gets put towards someone or some institution or something. And I want to remind you that we are channels of that. And when we channel that out into the world, what happens? It comes back to us, and that's all we start to see. So the spiritual practice here is to see the good even in the midst of the difficulty. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, says that we are each an inlet and an outlet for God. So a lot of people were brought up praying, God, give me, the give me God. That idea of, can I have, please, begging, give me this, let me have this, let them have this, right? Well, that's the inlet, right? But we are an outlet for God too, which means that we give of ourselves to the world, so that these gifts that I'm talking about along the journey are not only the things that come to you, they're not only the blessings that show up or the surprise opportunities or those moments when you're synchronistically connected in a new way, but it's the gifts that you give out to the world. You are the gift of the journey. And who you are and who you're becoming, just as you are, is the gift of the journey. And so when we can start to see that God comes in and God moves out through us, as us, then we begin to work and to live on a deeper level. The timeless wisdom for this week, the Science of Mind philosophy, is that life is infinite, eternal, and forever expanding. Life is infinite, eternal, and forever expanding. We can start anew in any moment. We can start over in any moment. You can start over in any moment. We can use the creative process to create the life we desire and become that which we think most about. We become that which we think most about. So that's why that self-talk, that's why the way that we look at ourselves, that's why, what we see in the mirror is so important. Because what you focus on is what you become. So, okay, I'm going to talk, just you and me, to that part of you. I know your critic. I know your critic. And I know you have a harsh critic in your head. And maybe you've heard it so long and so much that you can't even hear it anymore, but it's there. We need to stop listening to the critic. The critic does not know what it's talking about, because let me tell you, what I know about you is that you are lovable, that you are capable, that you are so intelligent, and you know yourself and your life so well. That's all you need. So if we can start listening to that part that knows that that's the truth, and stop listening to that critic, things are going to shift in our lives. It's all about what we're listening to. Change the channel. Turn off that channel of criticism and judgment and fear-mongering within you. It doesn't serve and support you at all. It's run its course. Because let me tell you, it's time. I have a picture of 2022 dawning with a great sunrise and stepping into a new way of being. That no matter what's happening in the world, no matter what's happening with the COVID pandemic, what's happening politically, what's happening economically, you are shining like the light, like the sun, stepping into a new way of being in your world. Now you can do that in any day. It doesn't have to be the 1st. It could be the 20th. It could be tomorrow. It could be Wednesday. It could be right now. You can step right into a new way of being. That's what I see for each of us, bringing the light, being that outlet, not just an inlet. So, Ernest Holmes also says that our past is not bound by precedent, that we have the power within us to change our thinking and our viewpoint about any situation, including ourselves. And it's through our active spiritual practice that we can steep ourselves in it and continue. So our meditation, our affirmative prayer work, our affirmations, our willingness to see through the effects of the world to a spiritual truth behind it, whether we understand it or not. So what that means is when something comes up in the world and you don't see a spiritual aspect to it, you can look at that incident and you can say, I don't get you, but I know God's at the center of this, so I don't need to understand it. God is right there. God is right there. It makes a huge difference when we remember that something greater is happening than what we can understand. So the evolutionary vision statement for this week makes sense in this context because this is what it is. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where each and every person discovers his and her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. That you have the power to create the world, the life that works for you, that doesn't harm, hurt, or impede anybody else. We can do that, and we can do that when we connect with the divine. So I hear you in my head, by the way. Okay, Rev K. Yeah, that sounds all great and nice and everything, but how do we do that? Anybody saying that? You don't have to admit it. Heard it. The first idea is by practicing what they call beginner's mind. Korean Zen master Sung San said that we must keep this don't know mind. It's an open mind, a clear mind. Beginner's mind is essential. So as we come to the conclusion of the journey of this year, I want you to think about how you're engaging in your life. Is it from that fresh new beginner's mind of possibility, of opportunity, of fresh inspiration and what's possible? Or are we looking at it like drudgery, like, oh gosh, I don't know how long I can do it like this. I don't know how we're going to get through this because of this, because of that, because of this, because of that. That's the hamster wheel of limited thinking. Are you allowing your mind to expand, to dream, to be inspired? Because if you're not, that's the most important thing. To give yourself some space to open your mind. Shunryu Suzuki says, if your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. It's open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Let's be beginners. You know, one thing I love in my work, and I've missed so much this year, is being in class, in person, in the Science of Mind. Our classes. And we are working on bringing them back in person in the new year safely, but in person. A whole set of them. We're going to launch at the end of January, so we're really excited about that. But what I love about class, and many of you, as I look out here, have had this experience with me, I love when someone new comes into class and what it looks like and what it feels like when they start to discover this philosophy and they start to discover the truth about themselves. There's this combination, the very first time you're in class, of awe, of trepidation, of excitement, of caution, right? Some people kind of walk sideways into the church, like, I think I could be here, I think I could be here, I think I'm supposed to be here. And that's something inside of you that knows that something big's going to happen. And I love sitting there and watching the ahas show up in people. It's literally like a light bulb above your heads. It's like those cartoons. I could actually see people light up when they start to go, oh my, wow, you know, that I never realized this, or waking up to some magnificent part of who you are. It's with beginner's mind, looking at something fresh and new. So I want to remind you, if you've been in class, if you've had that experience, I would actually love to see a show of hands. Who remembers feeling that when you walked in? Yeah, thank you, yeah. So let's get back to that feeling. Can you find that feeling again with life? Can you walk through your day wanting to be thrilled and surprised? Have a little game with God. Start your day and say, okay, show me today. How are you going to show me today? Where are you going to show up in a new way for me today? It's like you're dating God. We can date. So an amazingly wise woman named Rachel Carson, who I forgot to look up, I don't know who she is, has a great quote. I want to share this with you. She said this: "A child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It's our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over all children, I should ask that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder, so indestructible that it would last throughout life." Right? That'd be a great Christmas present, wouldn't it? To give everybody back that childlike sense of wonder. And this is the perfect time to try and cultivate that within ourselves, right? Because we can remember those childlike ideas of the holidays, whatever that was like for you. And that's kind of what we were planning for today for our party, is for us to share that excitement of experiencing something new, of sharing those delights and those beautiful experiences of our holidays from the past and from the different cultures. Can you sit by your tree, or, even it doesn't even matter if you put on that channel that has the fire on TV, can you sit by that fire and look out into the night sky and see the stars and realize what we're trying to do with our twinkly lights in the house is to recreate what the sky is doing for us and be part of that awe and that wonder. It makes a huge difference. That's a key to opening and allowing a greater vision to come through us. Now, the second idea is to mine the gifts of our journey, is to realize the importance of cultivating new perspectives. And on this one, I was pulled back to one of my favorite movies, which is Dead Poets Society. Remember that great scene in Dead Poets Society when the teacher, Robin Williams, makes each student come to the front of the room and stand up on a desk? One of these times I'm going to make us do this. But like he makes them stand on top of the desk and look around and see things from a different perspective. And that has stuck with me forever, because that's what we are constantly trying to do. Instead of getting in the rut of our belief system, getting in the rut of our judgment, getting in the rut of our limited thinking, how can we step higher to look differently at ourselves and at life? When we cultivate a new perspective, we open to possibility. When we decide to no longer be held down by our past, by our limiting beliefs, by our old paradigms, we create space for new ideas, for new opportunities, and a new way of being in the world. Your gifts may be expanding and developing. Now's the time to put them into full expression, with excitement and with energy. Because the world needs what you've got. Remember, we are an inlet and an outlet for God. And every time we share our gifts with the world, and then we accept the blessings of life, and we share our gifts with life, we expand that outlet, that inlet. It gets bigger and wider. One of my favorite great master teachers, Yoda, said, "Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose." Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. It's the fear to lose it, right? And that reminded me of Matthew 13:12. To the one who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. And from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Okay, I know I've said this before, but I never understood that one. I was like, I've spent years chewing on that one. So what does this mean? Is that like the judgmental God who thinks, okay, the rich people get more and the poor people get nothing? That didn't make sense to me, right? Like, is this about worthiness? Is this about judgment? What is this about, right? No, it's not. This Bible verse is about consciousness. It's about realizing the abundance of life and how blessed we are, and how by acknowledging it and realizing it, it multiplies. It's what we teach. That's the core of our teaching. If we are focusing on the fact that we have nothing and we feel really bad about it and we're mad about the people who have so much, and we think we are getting you know what by life, I'm getting good. I stopped myself. That was pretty good. See what happens when we live stream and I'm getting better about my words. Oh, that was close. It's not. It's not a statement on our worthiness or on the judgment of the divine. It's a statement of our consciousness, of our awareness when we move through life, realizing it's an abundant world, that there's more than enough, that we are giving and we are open. More will be given, because you know what? More wants to be given. God wants to give more. It's ever expanding. So it's not going to give in a place where it stops, because it can't move out into the world. We need to be part of that divine flow. We need to be part of that giving. So think about what area of your life is seeking to be renewed and revitalized with a fresh perspective and a new way of being. And then the third thing is that we integrate. And we need to take all that we've learned and all that we've realized, and we need to put it into practice. So this is a really heady philosophy, and we could spend all of our time sitting in a circle with all of our books and having an intellectual conversation. And I know on some level, some of us really would just like to live on that level, that would be fun and that would be fine. And that's a certain level, right? But this philosophy was meant to be lived. It's meant to be expressed. It's meant to be embodied. So we need to integrate this into our actions, and we need to go through our week and realize, have that little red flag in our head that says, you are not acting in the way that you wanted to this week. That is a choice that you're making. And even by realizing it and just acknowledging it, not doing anything about it at first, is going to be a good step, because then you're going to catch yourself earlier. That was me yesterday. I went shopping yesterday on Super Saturday. I had a little freak out. A little minor one, right? I wasn't going to tell you about that one. But over the years, I've known so many people, since I've been in this business, people who come up to me and say, well, you know, I've been studying the science of mind for blah, 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 blah years, you know. I've taken this many workshops, and I've done this many classes, and I've done all of that, and I've done this and this and this. And I hear that. I get that, because you know what? I've done it too. And I love that. That's really great. And yet I'm still a mess sometimes. I still get mad at Rubio's when they make my California bowl too hot and I can't eat it. I got cranky, right? There are moments when we lose our stuff. There are moments when that happens, right? But can we wake up to how we really want to be and integrate what we know so that it starts to change? Someone said to me not too long ago, Rev Katherine, I just want it, nothing's changing. And I said to them, well, in order for something to change, you have to change. You have to make a change in order to have something change. And they just stared at me like, oh, I never thought of that before. Yeah, we can't sit here and expect everything else in the world to change without us making any shifts or changes. We can't expect it. And this is why we call it a spiritual practice. This is why we call what we do practice, because we have to do it over and over again. Randy cannot just, well, he can, but he can walk up and play just about anything on the piano, but I can't. I can't take one piano lesson and expect to play Mozart. I can't, right? It was so fun this fall. As you know, we were focused on the Nutcracker up until last week. My husband and I had the opportunity to be in the production with our daughter, which was really so fun. But over that time, we were in all these rehearsals, right? And my husband was coming to some of my daughter's dance classes and rehearsals to watch her. And they would be in the middle of, you know, and she's in these beautiful ballet classes with these on point and all this stuff. And they would do all of these combinations. It's part of the class, right? You do your warm-up, and then you learn a little dance, and you do it. And so we would be standing outside, creeping, watching in the windows, watching our kid, you know, and all the dancers. And my husband turned to me the first time and said, how many weeks have they been working on this? And I said, 20 minutes. He was like, no way. And I was like, yeah, 20 minutes. What do you mean? He's like, they just learned that now? And I said, yeah, they just learned it now. And so realizing that practice really makes a huge difference. And then when we got into our rehearsals to learn our dances for our cute little parts, which is, is a little partner dancing and stuff, he really got the idea of what it takes and how much practice you need to be prepared to present something, right? Well, I'm sharing that because that's what we're doing when we do our meditation and our prayer work. That's what we do when we give ourselves some time to just be with ourselves. That's what we are doing. We are practicing our spiritual life. And we need to do that in order to take that step, to make that change, to make that shift. We need to make a step, and integrate what we know to how we're acting. Because integration, you've integrated when new patterns come out, new ways of being, new ways of operating show up, that you're positive, you can go with the flow a little bit more, you're not as reactive, you're not going to get cranky with a Rubio's kid, and you're not going to, I didn't do that, but I saw someone drive into a parking spot and cut people off and all of that. That's not going to happen, because you're integrating your understanding of yourself as a spiritual being and who you want to be in the world, and you're putting those two things together, and things start to shift in your world. You will see it. I know it. I promise you. We know we've done our healing work when we're no longer triggered, that we're less reactive, and more importantly, how we show up in life feels different. So this coming new year is offering us all an opportunity to integrate what we've learned, and in this uncertain time that's been filled with chaos and challenge and difficulty, but also filled with blessings and opportunities and gifts. And we can awaken to the truth of who we are that's showing up. I can tell you with some conscious attention, some spiritual practice of connection, and with an open mind, that anything is possible this year. And so I want to say that it's my intention to make sure that Csl TV is here. That Csl TV is a space of healing, of inspiration, of awakening, and an opportunity for each of us to do our spiritual work together, both online and in person. I know that Csl TV is a spiritual community that wants to shine its light brightly into the world. And we are finding our way in a new experience. And what I want to say about that is I know together we can do anything. And so the journey continues, and the gifts continue, and they continue to multiply. And so I just look forward for you coming to tell me about all the amazing gifts that you start to see that have always been there, because I know they have them. And so it is. practice. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, this is a time of our service when we have the opportunity to participate in sacred giving. So I'll invite our ushers to come forward and say thank you to all of our volunteers. And I want to say thank you to, it's been different this year. And we have a core group that has leaned in and kept this church up and running. And we are so grateful. And whether it's a small donation or large donation, everything counts and makes a difference in this uncertain time. And we are putting our attention on what we want to see grow and expand. We are doing our work, and we are going to come together, you'll hear, at the beginning of January to talk about the direction of the center. But at this point, what I want you to know is how very grateful this whole community is that we have a dedicated core group who loves Csl TV so much and wants to see it continue. So we just feel that love and let us know that this offering goes forward to support this new evolution, this new coming forward of what wants to be born next. Because church is changing. It is across the board. Every minister I talk to and every denomination and our own and in all others, church is shifting and changing, and it has to. And we can only do that together. And so thank you for sticking in and holding on and staying with us. Even everyone online, we're so grateful that we are in this together. We feel it and we know it. So for our friends online, there are a couple of ways that you can give. You could call our phone number, 951-304-0268. You could hit that donate button on our website, or you could mail in your offering. And we are just absolutely filled with gratitude and love for this spiritual community. And so let us take our offering and place it upon our heart and just breathe our light and our love into it, knowing that this is a divine gift that goes forth to support the growth of light in the world, to support Csl TV and coming to its fullest expression possible, to support, to love, to heal, to guide, to bring comfort to all. And I know that this offering multiplies and expands and allows for great experiences to come forth for all. And as we give, we are blessed. And this is yet another one of those amazing blessings of the journey. So I give thanks, I allow it to be, and so it is. And so please join me in saying our affirmation of abundance. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Yes.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. That's my peace. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need.
All right. So our announcements today. Our Science of Mind book study has completed for the year and will begin again on January 12th. And more information is going to come out right after the new year, including what book they'll be reading. So Julie Mims, our practitioners Julie Mims and Ann Woodward are heading that up. So if you've got any questions, you can talk to them. Our men's ministry is meeting Wednesdays, both online and in person in the morning at Journey's Restaurant. It's Reverend Michael Summers is heading that up, and they are excited. It's exciting. They are going to begin a once-a-month online meeting in the evening for those who work, so that they can start to gather in some more people and connect. So more info will come about that after the first of the year. And our Sisters in Spirit group continues to meet on the third Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. in person at Journey's Restaurant for breakfast. Our Csl Tv Community Connection will take place this week, Wednesday night, and this is the last one for the year. We are not going to be meeting on the 29th. Okay, so this is a time of discussion, of meditation, of connection. And so this is the one holdover from the COVID time, from the quarantine times, right? And it's been a really small group with me, you know, 1 or 2 people, and you know, every time we're there, we're like, this is the best secret nobody knows about. Because we have a wonderful time having a discussion, right? We have a wonderful time connecting and talking about, my goal is for us to really put these things into practice. And so I always have a couple of ideas that we could do. I always want to hear about what's happening in people's lives. So if there's something going on in your life, and you want a little spiritual perspective, 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights, I'm always there. And we can pray together, and we can meditate together, and it's a really wonderful time. So I invite you this Wednesday, off on the 29th, starting again in the new year. Our holiday giving. Today's the last day that we're taking collection for our holiday giving project. So what we've done, one of our congregants, Rosier, works with families who are in need. And she has coordinated 2 families for us. One is a single dad with, I think he's the one with 4 kids, and then a single mom with 2 kids, and they are local, Lake Elsinore and Murrieta. And so we've been collecting donations for them. And at this point, if you don't have anything already, but you want to participate, we are taking financial donations. What we're doing is we're going to take everything that we've collected, and Rosemary is going to pick up the check, and she's going to buy for both families and deliver them this week. And so if you would like to participate, there's a table outside with a basket, and there's a zipper thing in there if you want to put a check in there. Please feel free, or any donation. We are just grateful. You know, it always feels so good to help a family in need, right? It always helps to think of these children having Christmas, even small Christmas gifts. And so, just so you know, we've collected some. We could use a little bit more if you'd like to support that. Today is our winter holidays around the world, so right after service, I got to get in and cook my latkes. I hope that's going to work. I'm going to make latkes. But so we've got some food in there. Again, I'm being really picky. Everybody does hand sanitizer on the way in. Make sure you're masked. Everything's going to be served to you. And then we have tables set up on the breezeway so that you can come eat and unmask, and we can have some more space and all of that. But it's just so joyful. And even if you're not really going to eat or whatever, just take a walk through there so you can see the amazing tables that everybody's set up. We have a fact sheet of each holiday on each table that you could take one, and they did these beautiful displays. Everybody did such amazing displays, and I looked at my little Hanukkah display, and I was like, well, I've got chocolate on the table, so that's good. So come to my Hanukkah table. All right, so then we have our holiday services, our candlelight services Thursday the 23rd at 7 o'clock. This is our favorite. We've got a drummer girl this year. I'm so excited. We have we're going to do our 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. We've got amazing music with Randy and Danielle, and our practitioners and ministers doing some fun stuff and some readings, and it's just going to be a great holiday celebration. We're going to be safe, but we're going to do it. We're going to celebrate the bejeebas out of this holiday, right? Like, it's time to celebrate. So come and join us. It will be live streamed also on Thursday at 7. Then the World Peace Meditation with Woodward. I laugh because every year I love that she does this. I do not. I do not do it. 4 a.m. December 31st, in person here. That is not on New Year's Day. It is New Year's Eve in the morning. Think of it as like the end of the 30th. Like if you were staying up all night on the 30th, then you would be here, right? In the morning of the 31st. 4 a.m. Bring a blanket. We'll have the heat on, and it heats up quick, but bring blankets. You'll have to wear masks anyways, and that's a good thing to wear a mask when it's cold. And celebrate and pray for peace. She always puts a beautiful program together. And then in service on January 2nd, I will be back for our burning bowl. I love doing it. We'll set some intentions. We'll close out 2021, step into 2022. And in the service, we'll do the burning bowl outside, obviously, but we will do that. And finally, as I mentioned before, we are going to have a very important town hall meeting here after service on January 9th. And I'm saying it now because I want to spread the word as far and wide. I want as many of our members who are able to be here. We will also Zoom that meeting, so if you need to be from afar, that's fine. But we are going to have a meeting to talk about the state of the church, where we are, and where we want to go. And this is really important because we want to hear from you. It's not telling, it's listening as much as it is sharing what's happened and where we're going. So we're gonna say it over and over again. You're gonna get a bunch of emails about it. Just realize that if you can be here on the 9th, we really want you to be here because we want your input. It's really important that we are together as a community. And so with that, we are, first, can we give a little bit more love for Randy who's stepping up today for Danielle? And I want to thank Don for doing such great work today. Janie for holding light in the back for our teams. And the other thing that we're going to do on the 9th is we're going to talk about the volunteer positions that we have. I see every once in a while people will point up to the screen like, aren't they going to move it? Where's our words? Where's our affirmation? I don't have anyone to do that. So if we have someone who wants to volunteer to move our PowerPoint, we'll do that, right? Like as we have new things, as we have volunteers who can do things, and we're going to bring things back into the service. So we're going to talk about that on January 9th also. But at this moment, I want to remind you that our practitioners are here for you. I know that sometimes the holidays are rough. I know that there are things that come up. There are things that trigger us that can be difficult. Our practitioners are here to pray for you. They're available after service out on the breezeway. We have our prayer boxes in the back. When you put your prayer request in, it goes out to the whole entire team, and we pray for you for the week. Their phone numbers are on the website. I just want to remind you that there is spiritual support here for you. And I'm going to invite them to stand up. They look so beautiful in their new stoles. I love that. And let's come together in consciousness here. And so just breathing into this moment. How good it is to remember that there's so much more happening than we could even know. How good it is to remember the infinite one, that divine source of all life, that has created all, that is infused in all, and continues to source and support its creation through that fullness, through that magnificence, through that abundance of life. And we immerse ourselves in that truth because each and every one of us is part of this divine creation. Each and every one of us is alive with that vibration. Each and every one of us is part of that life essence. And so as we breathe in this moment and center into this place, I know that there is only one, that we are connected at the core. And that Spirit moves through us and as us to bring forth all that wants to be created by us. And so as we open to being that inlet and that outlet for God, as we open to giving as much as we receive, to allow that divine flow, everything multiplies. The love multiplies, the light multiplies, the opportunity multiplies, the joy multiplies, the prosperity and the abundance multiply. And we allow ourselves to be who we've come here to be, letting go of any judgment, of any critic, of any idea that we should be different than we are. But connecting to the true nature of who we are at that center and allowing it to come forward in grace and in peace. And so I speak a word for each and every person within the sound of my voice, knowing that God is here to source, to support, to guide, to love, and to inspire this fullness, this wholeness, this understanding, this awakening to our spiritual magnificence, which is happening. The reason why we feel uncomfortable is because something's shifting and changing and opening and growing and expanding, and we can no longer, our limitation can no longer hold the magnificence that we are. And we let that burst open and that light shine forward, and stepping forward in our power to create that which we desire. That is our truth. And this happens with ease, with comfort, and with peace. And as we move into this moment of the solstice, that inner reckoning, I know we see it with grace, with compassion for the self, and with love. And so for anyone who is experiencing a health challenge, I know the fullness of the energy and the essence and the vitality of spirit is alive within every cell. I know for anyone who is experiencing financial challenges that the abundance of the infinite universe pours forth into their experience. I know for anyone who is feeling disconnected, I know that there is love there, and connection and joy right where they are. There's opportunity and possibility and potential revealing itself to each of us to bring forth that which we truly desire to happen. It already is happening in the mind of God, and we allow it to come into our experience now. It's not next year. It's not when this reconciles itself. It's now. There is peace here now. There is love here now. There is joy here now, because God is here now as us. And so I see it and I claim it, and I bless each and every one of us with this truth. With a grateful heart, I celebrate. I celebrate as we celebrate the cultural holidays, as we celebrate the light being born as the Christ child, as we celebrate this divine gift that is life itself in this breath and this word. How much joy and love can we hold? I want to try and find out, because it's that much more than we could ever imagine. And so with all of this love, I simply claim this. I give thanks for it. Surrendering my word, I allow it to be, for I know it is so, and so it is. Amen.